Alright, so this is the third part of the videos for working with Project 2, and here we're going to actually go ahead and record some of these things. So in this first transaction, we had said in the first part of the video that because we're issuing a check, this is going to go in the cash payments journal, and we already know, we're even told what to debit: mortgage payable and interest expense. So, and we also, since this involves cash, we're going to need to put it in the check register. All right, so let me take a look here. All right, here was our post-closing trial balance from June 30th. Also, you can say July the 1st. And our checking account was $51,278.10. Okay. Okay, so we've got that set up and ready to go. All right, so we're going to go first into our cash payments journal. Here's our cash payments journal, okay, and the payee was Northwest Mutual Bank. That's who we paid the check to. Okay, so Northwest Mutual Bank. And the date, July 1st. And the check was $17.53. And the total is $23.15.45. So that's how much we're crediting cash for. Okay. Now we were told to debit mortgage payable. I can put a separate column for that, or I can use this. So mortgage payable, and we're going to debit that. Well, actually, you don't have to say the debit part. Technically, up here in the other, we should say other debit. So everything should be a debit. Unless, if it's not, then we would type in credit. Okay, so that amount is $369.99. $9.99. And we're going to also have an interest expense being debited, and that amount is $1945.46. All right, and you can just leave the rest of that line blank. If you find out that on the next transaction, you don't need the other column, you could use it to, be more efficient, but generally you like everything on one line that belongs to that line. All right, none of this involved a subsidiary ledger. But we do have cash involved, so we do have to go to the check register. And here we have check number 1753. It's on July the 1st. It was to Northwest Mutual Bank. And the check amount was $23.15.45. And it's a check, so I'm going to have to subtract that. Just make sure. 23.15.45. Yes, that was correct. Okay, so now I'm going to take my 51,278.10, subtract the 23.15.45. It's 48,962 and 65 cents. Okay. All right, so we are now done with that, and we have nothing separate to post. Now we go on to sales, the sales invoice. We said the customer is Denise Hogan. We said this is an accounts, we're selling this on account, so we're going to be debiting accounts receivable. Here's our total of the sales, $1332.25, and our tax, sales tax payable is $106.58. Okay, and so we said this was going to go into the sales journal. So here we go with our sales journal. We put in our customer, Denise Hogan, and the date of that was July 1st. And it was invoice 788. And we're debiting accounts receivable for the total that Denise owes us, $1438.83. Sales is just the sale part, which was the $1332.25. Sales tax payable is $106.58. Okay, so now we have it journalized. We realize that this involves a customer, and therefore I'm going to have to post it immediately to the accounts receivable subsidiary ledger. I'm not going to be posting anything to the general ledger, however, till the end of the month. So I only have to post this once now to Denise Hogan, $1438.83. Okay, so here's my Denise Hogan. I put in the date. Put in the amount, $1483. Oh, I've forgotten. $1438.83. Okay, $1438.83. Notice how I keep double checking myself. That's what you want to do when you're in accounting, because what if I would have left that as $1483? Okay, that would have been a mistake, and it would have caused me not to balance, and I would have been looking for 20 hours for that mistake that I made in 2 seconds. So always try to do as much double checking on yourself as possible. Okay, and so her new running total balance, and she didn't owe us anything before, is also $1438.83. Where did this come from? It came from the sales journal, page 1. now I would go back to the sales journal, and for the post reference you would put your check mark or your asterisk or something to show that yes, you did post that to Denise Hogan. Okay. All right, this does not involve cash, so we do not need to do anything about putting anything in the check register. Okay, here we have a sales invoice from Apparel Outlet to us. So technically we would call it, Apparel Outlet calls it a sales invoice. We would call it a purchase invoice from our end. Okay, and so here we are, we're the customer, we're buying this stuff on account. Okay, on July the 1st. Okay, and here's our big long invoice number. So we had determined in the first part of the video that this is a purchase on account of inventory, and therefore we're going to put it into the purchases journal. Okay, and technically we put it into the journal on the date that we received the invoice, although these terms, getting our 2% discount, is within 10 days of the date of the invoice, not the date we actually received the invoice. Okay, so we're going to go to our purchases journal, and the vendor is Apparel Outlet. And this is July the 2nd. And the invoice number is H456821. 456821. H456821. Okay. And the total amount that we are debiting to inventory and crediting to accounts payable is $52.40. Okay. Now, okay, now notice how that $52.40 ended up not being. Okay, we're going to want to set up this column to have 2 decimal places. Okay, so we do have a vendor here, so we're going to have to post this into the accounts payable subsidiary ledger. So we go to the accounts payable ledger. Here's our Apparel Outlet. They're already set up with their beginning balance. Now the date is 2nd, and we have a credit amount of, I think it was $52.40. Okay, $52.40. We'll add that, $45.87 plus the $52.40, because credit and credit is add. That's $98.27. Okay, where did this come from? The purchases journal, page 1. And we go back to the purchases journal and put in our post reference. By the way, when you're setting up your special purpose journals, you're going to need to put a page, so we should say page 1 on there, so that all your page numbers are on there, so that as you're putting your post reference into subsidiary ledgers, you know what page of what journal it came from.